Good evening. This week, Benazir Bhutto returns from her political exile to Pakistan. The Deputy Ambassador says she'll be free to campaign and criticise so long as she stays within the law. I'll be asking her if she's confident about the assurances given by the Pakistani government. Next Thursday, Benazir Bhutto, the 32-year-old daughter of the executed Pakistani Prime Minister Zulfikar Bhutto, returns to Pakistan after over 2 years of political exile. Big crowds are expected to greet her. The government of President Zia is showing some signs of nervousness about her return. Today, Mohammad Khan Junejo, the Prime Minister, went to the Bhutto power base, Lahore, and promised the people there cheaper cooking oil and granted ownership rights to hundreds of thousands of squatters in shanty towns. So the stage is set for the sharpest confrontation yet in Pakistan's civilian rule, overshadowed as it still is by the army. Pakistan's latest period of military rule began in July 1977, when the then Army Chief of Staff, General Zia-ul-Haq, took over power from the civilian government of Mr. Zulfikar Bhutto after a long period of civil unrest. Bhutto's supporters in the PPP, the Pakistan People's Party, made their protests at their leader's detention, despite General Zia's assurances that free elections would be called. Mr. Bhutto refused to reach a compromise with Zia and was subsequently tried and hanged for the alleged murder of a political opponent. Under Zia, opposition has been neutralized despite occasional outbursts of protest, and strict Islamic laws have been introduced, including ritual punishments like public hangings and floggings. Zia's international standing dropped as elections were repeatedly postponed. But later, with the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, doubting Western allies turned a blind eye to Pakistan's democratic shortcomings. But Zia did finally move to a kind of civilian relaxation. In February 1985, carefully controlled but apparently fair elections led to the return of a civilian parliament. Zia claimed it was a significant step back to orderly democracy. The opposition, especially the PPP, urged a boycott, but between a third and a half of voters turned out, allowing Zia to claim that the people supported the path he had set out. Benazir Bhutto called it a sham, and when she returned to Pakistan last June to bury her brother, who died in mysterious circumstances in the south of France, she began the task of remobilizing the political opposition. On December the 30th, Zia lifted military rule and also ended a 20-year state of emergency. But he still keeps a very tight control over events. Under the Political Parties Act, any party must be registered. It must not be externally financed. It must accept national ideology, and it must not defame the armed forces. But Zia has retained sweeping powers as president under his constitution. He can dissolve parliament whenever he wants. He chooses the prime minister, the armed forces leaders and state governors. He can determine his own powers under the constitution, and the constitution itself is beyond legal challenge. For Benazir Bhutto, the political heir of her executed father, the choices are tricky. All the hopes of frustrated PPP supporters, whether here in Bradford or at home in Lahore, turn on her. Can she mobilize mass opposition to the Zia regime without herself ending in jail? At present, the PPP has submitted its accounts to the Pakistani authorities, but it's also challenging the legality of the Political Parties Act in the courts. But should Benazir work within the constraints of Zia's constitution, however distasteful that might be in the medium run? But General Zia himself also has some awkward decisions to make. Officially, the government has said that Benazir Bhutto is free to come home. She can hold political rallies so long as they stay within the law. But at what stage does Zia judge that her very popularity threatens the slow road to democracy that he has chosen? And can a soldier politician ever change his spots?